I'm going to show you about my data analytics API. This data analytics API is capable of calculating the linear regression for a given data set. If we have a linear correlation in our data, this API will be able to calculate the linear regression for that data. So this API has 5 endpoints. Each one is serving a unique functionality. So the stats will give us some statistic about our data sets, including the mean and the median values. The regression plot will give us an actual plot between our two-dimensional data. The regression will give us the actual linear regression value. The histogram will give us the histogram across the x-axis value, and the plot will give us the 2D plot between the x and y axis. So let me show you an example. Here, I have a sample dataset which contains the World Happiness Report. So the downloaded data looks like something like this. So we have the happiness score and per capita GDP and some other parameters. So I'm going to find out the relationship between the happiness score and the per capita GDP. So in order to work with my API, I have separated these two columns out into a separate file like this. The x-axis contains happiness score and the y-axis contains the per capita GDP. So let us find out whether if we have linear relationships between these two data. So here for the URL, I'm going to pass in the actual URL for that happiness data. And then I'm going to check, I just want to check the linear regression. So I'm going to select this endpoint, pass in my data, and test the endpoint. So it gives us the parameters for the linear regression, such as the y-interceptor coefficient and some sample x and y values. So let me show you this graphically with this endpoint called regression plot. So here we can see some kind of a vague linear relationship between the happiness indicator on the x-axis and the per capita GDP on y-axis. So we can see some sort of a linear relationship. Whenever we have a higher happiness score, that means we have a higher per capita GDP. And the black line represents the linear regression. So this is just an example about my API to visualize data and linear relationships between that data sets.